Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next The Promised Neverland manga review. This one's going to be for chapter 168, which is called Dad. Overall, I thought this was a pretty enjoyable chapter because, you know, stuff happened. It did, advance the plot in terms of, we were waiting to see what sort of, a trap Peter Rattray had planned. It was fairly obvious that this would be him turning the tables. What I didn't expect this chapter to do was also to then, at the end of it, also have the kids then reverse that reversal. So I'm just a little worried we're going to just get into a big, bunch of chapters in a row where it's literally just, no, I'm in control of the situation. No, we're in control. I'm in control. And it's just going back and forth just because we have so many elements that we're expecting to appear at some point that are clearly going to turn the tables. In that, one, Isabella hasn't been seen in a few chapters, and she's somewhere around here waiting to strike. Now, I do get the feeling they'll likely introduce her as a big, here she is, she's planned something, she has the advantage over the kids, she's evil like we expected, and then they'll have her turn and be revealed to be on their side ultimately, because I don't think they're going to forget about her actions in letting the kids escape at the end of the first arc. I think they will ultimately go back to that and have it, use her character in that way. But also the kids, we don't know the full extent of the plan. We don't know the full extent of, just what exactly they're planning to do here, because the one piece of information for me that we know about Gracefield House that hasn't been brought up in a while is that there is an entrance or portal or whatever where you want to call it to the human world somewhere in Gracefield House. That was this reveal that happened a while ago, and we're still waiting for the results of that. So there's that, there's the promise itself, so the kids I think are going to have a few surprises up their sleeves as well. So there's still room for more reversals back and forth. We're still waiting to see if Phil is up to anything. I assume if they do anything with Isabella, it'll likely be her bringing sort of Phil back into things to really get to Emma. In that, what they seem to be in a way doing is Norman and Peter Rattray are enemies as such, just because of the whole kind of connection there. And then Ray and Emma are more going to be the ones that have the sort of arc with Mom, just because they have the kind of closer dynamic with her. Just the way their arcs have gone, that's the situation of just because Ray is actually Isabella's son, and then they've been trying to do the sort of comparison / difference dynamic between Isabella and Emma for I think that's the idea that's meant to be of Emma has made different choices than Isabella did, even though they both sort of had the same potential type thing. So we'll see how it goes, but I do appreciate, it being a little bit faster paced after it slowing down for a little bit. Again, it'll just be interesting. I still don't have any clue about how many chapters is left in that. Depending on the pacing, it feels like it goes from being oh, we're under 10 to no, they could still have 20 or 30 left. It's just confusing. But anyway, we'll get into the chapter page by page at this point. So we open up with just the sort of hacking team, which is Vincent, Hayato, Nigel, and some of the Adam clones. And basically the idea they're getting across here is that Vincent is really determined to fulfill his part of the plan. He is not leaving this area until he gets it to 100% and shuts down their system. It happens, and he basically says they won't be able to operate for a while, and they go to leave. So it seems like they finished with enough time to be able to escape. Similarly, it seems like Oliver's group with Jillian, Dawn, Gilda, Zach, and Aishi, it seems like they're also free and just running through the facility in the same way that it also seems like Emma, Ray, and Norman are going good in that they're just about to enter the place where they know Peter Rattray is. They were told at the end of last chapter where he is. They get in there and find that it's empty. Norman gets on the radio to Vincent and is what's going on? You told me he was here. And Peter Rattray answers over the radio and basically says, you did well. And just praises them for everything they did, decimating Lambda, killing the Queen and the 5 regent houses, destroying the demon leadership, basically, and how quickly and effortlessly they infiltrated Gracefield House. He says, pretty impressive for a child raised to be food. He still adds that little bit on in the end. He can't just give them praise because it's just, oh, you did this, but it's not as good as it could be just because you're food. And he notes that the footage you saw of me there was fake. Looks like we outwitted you. And this is where it's revealed that the rest of them are captive. The 5 here are tied up with guns to their head. Interestingly, they don't show Hayato, but like the previous scene highlighted that there were only 5 in the group, the 2 kind of Adam clones, and then Vincent, Nigel, and Hayato. So I just think Hayato isn't drawn in this, and it's not that it's meant to be notable that he's not here. We get some quick cutaway shots to highlight that the rest of the Ratri clan is also basically appeared before all of the other groups. So people with guns appear before like Emma and Ray and Norman in their room, and also they corner Oliver's group with Jillian and Zach in a different corridor. So everyone has guns pointed at them at this point, and it seems like, as he says, you lose, the game of tag is over. We're restoring the system. The ones you put to sleep from last chapter are going to wake up soon. And then also, here's where he really hammers home the advantage by revealing that, oh yeah, Sanju and Majika, we captured them 3 days ago. They're going to be executed soon. Also, we killed all of the citizens who were saved by the evil blood. So, you know, they keep up the whole idea of needing the farm system and so on. So that is a huge blow as we see Emma react to this. Everyone reacts. It's, you know, this tragic moment that was also a key part of their plan, that they didn't want anyone to die on the demon side or the human side. And immediately this is the section of the plan that has gone wrong. So Emma's reaction especially is pretty intense here to finding out about this. But Ratri goes on to explain what his plan going forward is. That he says, okay, the remainders of the region houses have formed a council to take over the government, and his plan is to revive Lambda. Moving forward, these spoiled top-class farms will be demolished, and I'll centralize all of them in a new Lambda style. I won't let the children have dreams, hopes, their own wills or futures. Rebels like you will never be born. It'll be a peaceful paradise. I have to thank you, for the world will change by look to the future I want. So he basically just, delivers that kind of devastating line there of just that effectively. Through you being rebellious, you've helped to highlight to me what I need to shut down to stop this from ever happening again. That you will be the last rebels, basically, and it'll be even worse than it was before, the way he wants to do things. So he's informed by his own hacker guy that the system is restored, but it has a triple password lock on it. That's the last thing we need to do to break through to get the system up and working again. Vincent starts to grin here, even though he's captured. And Peter Ratri points the gun at him and just says, give me the password, or I'll shoot. Vincent says no, and that you can't figure it out. That's why you're threatening me. Serves you right. I'll never tell you. He then shouts so the others can hear him over the radio. Boss, everyone, can you hear me? That's the situation. We still have time and the chance to win. It's not over. Shoot. Defeat the enemies before you and complete the mission. Don't mind us. We can leave the future to these guys. He apologizes to Nigel beside him for basically saying that, we're going to die here for this. But Nigel says it's all good. Again, interesting that they don't bring Hayato into this. The scaredy cat character, the character who would be freaking out over this, they don't include him in this, even though he's, I think, based on the fact that they said 5, there was 5 there. They should be mentioning him, but they don't. So Emma's like, wait, no, we're all going to survive together, is what Norman says. And this is where we get this kind of, they're sort of teasing, that Vincent's going to go down here. Sorry, boss, I revered you as a god. Just like Sislo said, I was too dependent on you. The stronger you were, the stronger I felt as well. That's right, as it turned out, I was scared too. Ultimately, I want to guide you to victory as a friend. That is what I want. Keep going, Norman. And we turn the page and Peter Ratri just shoots. And Vincent goes down and we don't see him speak for the rest of the chapter. Now, I don't think Vincent is dead. I think they would have emphasized this a little bit more if this was meant to be just he's gone. In that, I understand to a degree, like, are they literally just going to shoot people in the head over this stuff? I'm not sure. But they've kind of done it before, they've killed some of the other kids at times and so on. And, but very clearly here, I think they emphasize the fact that he shoots him in either the shoulder or the side of the chest. But there's also the potential, like, he could have shot him in the heart. So it is still ultimately unclear. But I think if Vincent was gone down for good, it'd be emphasized just that little bit more. And I lean more down the side of things where I feel Peter Rattray is aware of the fact that Norman is basically only in on this through a radio conversation. And so he's just going to hear the gunshot and the fact that Vincent stops speaking and assume Vincent is dead. But Peter Rattray can also use the fact that he's just wounded Vincent to still have the potential to get the password back. So I think that's what he's doing here, of getting the threat across with the gunshot over the radio, but also the threat to Vincent by actually hurting him but not killing him, and he still has the potential to get the password back. I think that's what he's going for. So Peter Rattray says, "I'm sick of this. Why don't any of you understand? Why do you all disobey me? I'm your creator. I'm your dad." And this is what the chapter is called, and I think a lot of people were maybe leaning down the direction of like, wait, are they actually trying to suggest that like Peter Rattray like is actually the father of some of these characters, or like all of them somehow? Ultimately, as he goes on, it is more of a thing of just like, he is their dad by virtue of the fact that the Rattray clan is what even allowed the cattle children to be born in the first place, when we actually know from the flashback chapters that all of the cattle children are descendants of the Rattray clan's allies, and not the Rattray clan itself. So, I still think there's maybe a potential that like he might actually be the father of like a character. I thought they were going to maybe go down the road of him specifically saying, "I am Norman's father," or something like that. But they don't seem to do that here. He just says, "If there were no farms, if the Rattray clan wasn't around, you wouldn't have been born. You were well fed, raised, and provided for, yet you rose against the farms, escaped, and now you come back to destroy us. How foolish and disrespectful. I'm sick of this rebelliousness. Why won't you admit defeat? It's fine, you're all just defects anyway," and he orders everyone to be killed. So the way he sends this order is like across to his guy on the computer to sort of relay this to everyone else. But he turns around and finds out that that guy is like unconscious at the computer, like something has just happened. So he's shocked by this, and then it's revealed that there's a gun pointed at Peter Rattray's head. It's Oliver. So Oliver's group here, we see Oliver, Zach, Jillian, Aishi, no Don or Gilda pictured, but they probably are still there. And Oliver says, "You're not our father." So very interesting. It's been very Grace Field focused, and then here is the sort of Goldie Pond kids really showing their worth. So the question here is like, okay, what exactly happened here? We last saw this group cornered in the corridor by the rest of the Rattray clan. Everyone had guns pointed at them. So did they kill Rattray clan members? Did they get out that way, or did something else go on here? Either way, the idea here is that the tables have turned once again. That, the kids are now in control. They have who they want captive. Peter Rattray is under their control. So it is an interesting one in that, like, Emma, Ray, and Norman seemingly are still cornered by some guards, but the group that like Vincent was with are now safe. So what are Emma, Ray, and Norman going to do? Or are they actually just getting across the idea that the kids are now more skilled than Rattray's guards? That's what I'm not sure about. So is this going to be a standoff between the idea of like, let Emma, Ray, Norman go or we'll kill your leader, and then the counterpoint of like, we'll kill your 3 best kids unless you release our leader? Are they going for that sort of dual standoff thing? I'm not really sure, just because you don't really have another like noted character to like negotiate on the other side of things, unless you're just going to have like an unnamed Rattray guard like negotiate with Oliver here. So I do still feel the ultimate setup for next chapter is for this to be reversed once again. Peter Rattray to like reveal that, oh, but you forgot about Isabella and the demons and stuff like that. That you've forgotten that she's still out there to do something. In that I'm like, I have a feeling maybe that like when they do reintroduce Isabella, it will be with the idea of like she'll be holding like Phil hostage in some way, because again we're back in like Grace Field here. Like a lot of the kids, like we've sort of forgotten about like the mass amounts of kids in that kind of storage area back where we were a chapter or two ago. So something's happening with them, I assume, given that like we're mainly focusing on the groups that went out to play tag with everyone. So there's room for so many different twists and turns to happen. Like a lot of people are saying, you know, Oliver, just shoot him and stuff like that, but like they were never going to do that. Like as much as this is a guy sort of responsible for a lot of things, you know, Oliver, Gillian, these type of characters, they're not just going to execute the guy there full stop. It's just it's never the attitude of like most series like this to just like have a sort of hero character be that like blunt and to the point as maybe, you know, logical in the situation as it maybe could or should be at this point. It's just not going to happen. Like even Peter Rattray didn't kill Vincent for defying him, as crazy as Peter Rattray is. So, you know, that's just not the approach of the series at this point. So yeah, I suppose the question is just like what immediately happens next? Do they go straight for Isabella being introduced, or is next chapter the chapter to reveal like what the plan of the kids is now that they feel they have control? Like Peter Rattray had control, he told them his plan. Is it now the turn of the kids to basically say what they're about to do? I'm not sure, but I'm excited for the next chapter because of this. I think like we've got past now that initial like, okay, what's going on? Who's in control? Now from here on out, it feels like every twist and turn that's going to happen is going to be more impactful and meaningful. It's all about like, once they don't overdo this, we should be good. So they're my thoughts on chapter 168. So in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are, what you think about this chapter, what you think is going to happen next. Let me know in the comments. But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.